Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is able to hear me and everyone is able to see my screen. If possible, can someone please confirm if you are able to hear me clearly and able to see my screen?
Sir, your voice is bit breaking, little bit.
Is it for you or everyone, sir?
Yeah, my side is everything okay.
Okay. So I think maybe Kannan just kindly check. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I think your
Fine.
voice okay, some okay, throat I thought breaking. Okay.
Yeah. I think from my side everything is okay, sir. Okay. Right. So yesterday I have given a brief introduction related to services, guys. Okay. What exactly is services? Services means it's a bridge between front end and back end, right? It's a bridge between front end and back end. Front end is displaying the data. Back end is data it has. So like MVC, where we can call it, right? Model, view, a controller. Model is nothing but backend, where we have a data. Where we have a data typically. And view is nothing but our front end. Right? And in between them, controller, which is called as our services. Which is called as a controller, which is called as a services here. Okay? So model and view and controller. So that is typically so far our services logic is on that actually. Okay? Generally, well, why will use services, guys? We are going to use services in connecting to backend, where either will retrieve the data from backend or will provide the data to the backend. Right? Will retrieve the data from backend or will provide the data to the backend. Understand, right? Right. So generally, which is mainly useful for component to component communication. Right? Component to component communication. By default, component to component communication, what exactly our intention was, till now we have used at the rate of input and at the rate of output. Am I right? Till now we have used at the rate of input as well as at the rate of output. Okay. At the rate of input as well as at the rate of output. Typically useful for component to community communication, right? But at the rate of input and at the rate of output is parent to child as well as child to parent, right, sir? Then only I can use, right? For example, list component, count component, right? Can I use at the rate of input and at the rate of output is only for parent to child as well as child to parent. Is that correct or wrong? But if I want to use across the board, I don't have relation. I don't have relation. I don't have any relation. Parent and child like that. No relation is there with me. I don't have any specific relation. Then I can use services also. I can use services also, guys, to provide a dependency injection here. I can use services also to have a dependency injection over here. For example, sir, okay, where I have, if you see the diagram, guys, I have components. Front end layer is what? Savings account component, current account component, joint account component, demat account component, right? I have totally 5 components, guys. on accounts related. On loans related, home loan, personal loan, mortgage loan, vehicle loan, gold loan. Right? Withdraw component, deposit component, payment component, locker component. Total how many pages I have? 4, 9, 13. As of now, I have 13 APIs here. But all accounts related information available in account service. All accounts related information is available in account service. All loans information in loan service. Okay? Whenever I deposit money, then I can use in savings account, or I can use one service for all kind of common APIs. For all components, I can use one service. So any change, typically any change in my account service, that a dependency will be injected. Any change in the service, that a dependency will be injected to all the components. The dependency will be injected to all the components, guys, here. Okay? So, and finally in the database, it's a schema related information, savings schema, current schema, like that. And the backend can be written in .NET or PHP or Java or Python, any kind of backend. So mostly, sir, we'll use maximum things, sir. Spring Boot, that's currently it's that's the latest demanding. Maximum people are using Angular or React as a front end. Most of them Angular. I can say few of them React, and Spring Boot is a backend. That's the best suit for generating the applications. So this is the typical introduction about service. And we have two types of services, guys, here. We are typically having two types of services here. One type is interacting with backend. That is REST API. Okay? Interacting with backend, that's the REST API. And another one is state management. Just like I told, right? State management, a common service that is across multiple communications. So we can have two types of service. One type of service is having HTTP communication. Another type of service is state management, where we can go further. So this is what the introduction I gave in the yesterday's class. Any question, anyone, before I proceed further on today? As of now, any questions from anyone so far, guys? Is everyone is clear, or any questions from anyone? Okay. Now, what is a REST web service, guys? Any idea? What is the meaning of a REST web service? Any idea, guys? What is the meaning of REST web service? Sir, everyone is able to hear my voice clearly, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what's the meaning of REST service? You are part of project batch, right, guys? All are part of project batch, right? Sir, all the participants who are joining in this class part of project batch, right?
Yes, sir.
Surprising, no one knows REST API.
Sir, it's an
Send
API
response body.
used for external services, sir. External service.
What is the use of REST service?
Do you use to develop or distribute
To send response body along with the proto.
I don't want request body. I don't want response body. I don't want technical information. If I don't have REST services, what happens?
Sir, if you want to make an external service,
It's
apart
an
from
API call, sir, where we can trigger it by using different endpoints.
All are technical. I mean, sir, I don't want API. What is the use? If I don't have REST services, can't I develop the application?
This service to service communication. One will request and the provider will get the response so that we can get the service from the provider.
Sir,
And
if you
Why
want to make a
provider?
call from actually one technology to other technology, so we can,
Exactly. This is what I'm looking. This is
Distributed
what I'm
application.
looking. I told in JSON also, heterogeneous communication. Why heterogeneous? Because nowadays our application will be loosely coupled architecture. We need application of loosely coupled architecture. Am I right, guys?
yes, sir.
I can change front end, no impact to back end. I can change my back end, no impact to front end. I can change both the things, no impact to database. I am designing an application with a loosely coupled architecture. So, how it is possible? Angular is their front end, sir. Today, I used .NET. Assuming, sir, today I use .NET Web API as my backend, sir. Okay? And I gave my product to the customer. Angular is a front end, .NET Web API as a backend. And I gave this product to customer. Sir, no. Now, after 6 months, customer mentioned that .NET is a licensed service. He don't want .NET. He want a backend also in open source. Now I can come up with Spring Boot. But I no need to change my Angular. Correct, right? I only can change backend, right? I can set up my own backend without change in front end. I can set up my own backend without change in front end. Can I do that? That is called as a heterogeneous communication. So we have SOAP services as well as REST services. We have two types of services out there, sir. SOAP-based services, REST-based services. SOAP-based services are legacy. It takes a separate protocol. Complete communication is different. Protocol is different. And the everything is different. And it runs on XML, XSD, DTD. And where we are going to use REST services, which still uses HTTP protocol. What is HTTP? Our regular protocol, right? Web application, what are the protocol we have, right? The same protocol I can use, right? So HTTP protocol I can use, right? So, and it is completely depends on JSON. It's a lightweight object, JavaScript object, which is going to use that. Okay. And finally, HTTP interface is given by Angular, where you can perform post operation, get operation, put operation, delete operations. I hope you are learning Spring Boot also as part of this, and you know how to create a REST API in Spring Boot, how to create a post mapping, how to create a put mapping, how to create a get mapping, how to create a delete mapping. All those things you should have a idea on the back end, how to come up with that, right? So in Angular, which has a typical idea on In Angular, we have a typical idea on communicating with front end as well as communicating with back end, and it is having a typical APIs for performing all our HTTP operations. So we are going to write a code for that, and we are going to see that. So this is a typical introduction part of REST service. Okay. Any questions over here so far, guys? As of now, any questions from anyone on the introduction part? Can we write a code on the service? Okay. Now, what I'll do, sir, first, I will use some third-party service, external service, and I will get the data. Till now, in our employee component, right, guys? So where I'm having employee component, employee details dot component dot ts. We hard coded this data, right, guys? Now, similar kind of data we can retrieve from the backend. My intention was slowly. First, I will go with a normal backend, which is open source backend. I'm going with that. Okay. And we'll get a data, and slowly we can come up with our own backend API where you're going to learn in your project batch how to integrate that. Okay. But I'm going to showcase how to make a backend call and how to do a backend call. So that is what I'm going to showcase for that. Okay. So one of the example I want to teach you is I'm going to write. There is a countries REST API. Yes. Third party open source REST API is available, which is going to be part of this. Countries REST API, Angular consumption. We need to consume the REST API in a countries, these things here. Okay. So how exactly we are going to? Sir, same code, sir, we are going to use internally. Similar code we are going to use internally on consumption. In any of the APIs, we are going to use a similar kind of code over here. Okay, which I'm going to write over here. To create a service, what is the syntax, guys? Anyone can tell me? ng generate service name. Till now we saw it, guys. ng generate component name. ng generate directive name. ng generate pipe name. Now ng generate service name. Or ng gs anything is this. This will create a service in Angular. Okay. ng generate service. HTTP client interface created by Angular and ready to consume, where we no need to write boilerplate code for performing CRUD operations. What is a CRUD? create, read, update, delete. Something like post, get, put, delete. So by default, HTTP client interface is given by Angular and it ready to consume, where we no need to write any boilerplate code and entire things are available by Angular performing the CRUD operations. Okay. Also, Angular provides all REST services communication. All REST services are by default asynchronous. Asynchronous. What is the meaning of asynchronous? Any idea? Asynchronous. Any idea by anyone? What is a synchronous? What is asynchronous?
Yes, sir. So even
You
the
don't need
based
to
call,
wait for the
like
response.
non-blocking.
One by one. I mean, I'm not a technical guy, sir. Interviewer is going to ask you. I'm not a technical guy. Can you tell the answer where a layman can understand?
Yes, sir.
What is asynchronous?
So asynchronous, when we are calling a service, it's something like the service one makes a call, it put a message, and it will not wait for the response immediately. Okay, this is called as the asynchronous. When a service makes a call to service 2, it will wait for the response from service 2. It's a
Correct.
blocking one. That is synchronous.
Sir, the next question, I mean, maybe it's, I mean, let me answer, let me explain everything almost clear. Just 1%, I want to add some clarity here. Okay. Asynchronous means my class is there. I am asking a question or someone is asking a question. For example, 35 people are joining in the class, right? All 35 people has a questions. What exactly they need to do have? One by one only they can ask, right guys? They can ask one by one, right guys? First participant, till I answer, next participant, after that I answer, next participant, after that I can answer, like that, right? Now it is delaying a time, right? Last 30th person means you need to wait till all the persons are done. What is the other way? I can tell everyone, hey, please post your question in the chat window. And you can continue with your own work. I'll get back to you. Hey, Mr. X, Mr. Y, Mr. Z. That is synchronous. This is synchronous. Okay. I'm making an API call. I will not wait for the response at all. I'm not going to wait for the response at all. Let the API respond its own time. That is asynchronous. I'll make an API call. I will wait for the response. That is synchronous. But in which scenario you will go with synchronous? In which scenario you will go with asynchronous? It's an important interview question, guys. In which scenario you'll go with synchronous? In which scenario you'll go with asynchronous? Any idea? Is the question is clear?
Yes. Whenever we go based upon event, right? Events, there we go with asynchronous. Event-based architecture.
What is the event? I mean, why even event? Without event, can I do that?
Okay, so whenever we have, let's say we have 3 microservices. When each microservices is not depend on each other. Okay, so one microservice putting the data in some message queue, it can be consumed by more microservices. So there is no relation between the one and the other. So in that case, we go with the asynchronous.
Yeah. So
Sir,
almost answer is correct. Just
Foxtrot
like
model. Yes.
all sugar-coated words,
Sir,
everything is correct.
Sir, when we want to refresh a data without refreshing a page, then we will use asynchronous.
Both are correct answers. So my intention was Asynchronous means I have a parallel processing. I have a parallel processing if I want to introduce. Like one microservice want to call 5 microservices. All 5 are independent. I can call at any point of time. All are independent. I can go with asynchronous communication. One by one, I want to call. If first API, then only second API. Second API, then only third API. Then I need to go with synchronous. Something like one of the participants just now, without refreshing the page, I want to load dynamic data. I have 10 div tags, Ajax. All 10 div tags, 10 real-time calls. And I can load any div tag at any time. No order. Then I asynchronous. Okay. So by default, REST services are introduced in Angular. They are going to provide a asynchronous communication. It creates an infrastructure. It creates an observable interface. On the same observable interface on the same. Observable is a part of RxJS, React.js. There's a component where it is taken from the React.js observable, which is performing asynchronous communication. Okay. Now, in Angular, previously before Angular 17, one approach, after Angular 17. In main.ts, we need to bootstrap HTTP client module along with app component. We saw that initially main.ts is having app component, right? Yes or no, guys? Now, along with app component, we need to add HTTP client module. So what sort of code we need to write here? Let me go to main.ts. Let me open our code. This is loading our app component, first component only, right, guys? Now, what I need to do here, let me comment this code. And what I want to do is, I don't want this one, comma. What I want to do is, I want to providers. Provide HTTP client. Provide HTTP client in the brackets with fetch. So this piece of code we need to write, guys. This will load the HTTP client module. While loading the application, this is going to load the HTTP client module. Bootstrap application along with my root component. I want to load my HTTP client module and I'm going to load this. This is a code we need right here. Like as below. This is the section. We need to load. Okay. So we are going to write a code here. And what I'm going to do here, typically, I will create a service now. How to create a service, guys? NGGS countries. This is the API. Where HTTP. Somewhere else we have a API. Rest countries. Yeah. So you're able to see this. This is the data, countries data. It's a REST API call. All countries data is available. Now I will hit this API from Angular and I'll showcase this. I'll hit this API from Angular. I'm going to showcase this. Okay. Sir, everyone is clear? Any questions so far, guys, as of now? Right. Now, which is equal to countries dot service dot ts, which I'm going to have here inside constructor. I'm writing public HTTP client of HTTP client. So what exactly is going to have? It is creating an object, guys, in the backend, dependency injection. Exactly in backend terminology, what we can say that like this. HTTP client, HTTP is equal to new HTTP client. It is going to create an object and country service dot. It will add the dependency. Set HTTP client of HTTP client. Like this. Dependency injection it is going to write. Okay. After that, I'm going to write public get countries data, which is observable of any. I don't know what is the response. Sir, I want to return countries data, which returns of observable. What is observable, sir? Just now I told, right? Asynchronous API RxJS. Right, sir? So, return this dot HTTP client dot get of What is the API, guys? This is the API, right? This is the API I'm making. You no need to write a code here. The below line hits REST API and gets the response. And gets the response. Okay. So far clear? Sir, so far clear, everyone?
Sir, one thing, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, actually earlier in the main.ts, you were, I think, so it was bootstrapping the HTTP client, right? That is different.
Correct.
Here in
Bootstrapping, one second, but I'll explain. Bootstrapping HTTP client means HTTP module should be loaded. HTTP module should loaded here. If you see here, Angular/common/HTTP a separate module. This is loaded. If the module is loaded, then only HTTP client is available.
then only we can inject something like creating a bean and we are injecting here.
Exactly. Correct.
Okay, okay, sir. I'm clear.
Yeah. Good question. Really good question. Okay. Now I want to consume this, right, guys? I want to call this API, right, guys? How to call? I need to create a component, right? ng gc countries component. I was able to create a countries component because component only will call directly service, right, guys? So where I'm going to write over here, inside, which I want to add a common module, and I want to write constructor private countries service, which is equal to country service by this big word service. Dependency injected. Okay. After that, which I want to implement, on it. Want to implement on it. So what I will do here, this dot service dot get countries data. This is my API, right, guys? And it's observable, right? Subscribe. Subscribe method is observable. Observable interface. And then it will reply to our component when the response is ready. It will reply. So inside subscribe, so what I need to do here inside that, I want to write a logic here. Okay. Where, which is having next. If at all data comes, what I need to do? Next. I'll get a response, right, guys? Positive response, which is of type any. Console.log off. REST API invoked. And the response is positive response. Which is okay. Maybe I want to initialize. I will write public result of type any. This dot result is equal to the response. What are the responses? After that, if at all any error comes, on error, which is any error, this is a syntax, guys. You need to follow the syntax only. Console.log off error in communicating with backend API. And I can log that. After that, I'm done. So that complete. It's done. Where console.log off completed the REST call communication. So I'm making a call and I'm subscribing. Subscribe will have 3 steps. It will wait for the response, on error, on complete. Something. Okay. Which is, I make a communication here in countries component here. I want to add in the first component, right? Where is the first component? App component dot, not app component. Yeah, sorry. Here is my first component. Countries component. Should have. Here I'm going to write. I'll stop this. Clear? No. Let me. In the countries.component HTML, REST API for countries web service. Be the console for network call. Okay. I'm going to inside network tab. You saw, guys? All. You're able to see the call, all call. HTTP countries dot. This is a call, it is made, right? This is a call, right? I made. So, let me go to here. V3.1/all, right? And here response. You're able to see the entire response, guys? Complete response, you see that, right? And you see here, get call, 200 OK, success. And in the console, you're able to see REST API invoked and the response is REST API invoked and the response is. You saw that?
Yes, sir.
You saw the response? This is the response, I got it right. Sir, we hard coded the data right now. Previously, we hard coded the data. Now we have the complete data with us, right? 250 countries data we have. Now we have a response, right, guys? Can you bind the data right now to HTML? Now in the employees component, right? Now I have a result. The result will have all the data, right? Yes, sir, guys. This result is have all the data, 250 records. Can we bind this? Where? Inside employee details.component.html. Employee details.component.html. We hard coded the data right here.
Yes, sir.
Now this dot result I have now. Sir, you're able to follow that, right? This dot result I have. Now from this ng for, you take some of the elements here. What are the response you have, right, guys? Capital city, currency, flag, and this image. Flag image is also available, sir. This is the image. You saw that, right? So we can bind the data, guys, here. To HTML, we can bind the data. Can you take this exercise, guys, for you? You can try it, guys.
Yes, sir.
Same code, sir. Table tag and same code. Take your own data and bind to HTML. ng for you can use, and you can bind the data and you can keep in the tabular format, so that no need of hard coding anything here in this component. We don't have any hard coded data is available here. Make sense?
Yes, yes, sir. Sir, one clarification here. So in the earlier example, we were using user.ts. We used one model. So here, no need to create model, right? Directly we can bind the data from the API.
Good question. Very, very good question. Who is asked? I didn't saw. Kannan, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Sir, countries data I have. I don't know what kind of response it will give, right, sir? Can I know the response type? That's fine. Any type I have used. I don't know what structure it is. In real time, product service. It returns product data, right? I have some product structure, right? So public product results is of type product type. I can do that. Accounts data, payments data, employees data. I can keep that particular type here. But if I'm not sure what kind of data it provides, it is not in my control at all, then I'll keep any type. Understand? Kanan, you're clear?
Yes, yes. So yeah, that one. So basically here we cannot do the data hiding. So there will not be any security of data, right? Because
By default, sir, whenever you saw, right, REST API,
yes, sir.
if you want to secure anything, the way is implement security. You cannot blindly provide the data with some user ID, with some password, with some authentication approach. You need to, I'm having countries data. If this username, if this password you give, then only my response will be written. That is one type of authentication you can use. Or else you feel something sensitive, then you cannot expose the data on the network. You cannot give REST API to outside world. Right?
Yes, yes. Sir.
And the only way is security, where only authenticated people only can ask it. Understand?
Yeah, okay, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any other question, guys, so far? Sir, can you write tomorrow, guys? The HTML API.
Yes, sir.
I'll see. And someone can share a screen tomorrow. I will see. I'll showcase maybe Javed. Apart from Javed, anyone. Javed can do, I know. Possible. If otherwise, anyone is okay. I'll also write, guys. If any questions are, I will also write. So here, I'm going to have this endless service. Sir, this weekend we have a workshop from my side, sir, on a security. Microservices security. I have a workshop this weekend. Sunday, 9 a.m. IST. Okay? If you get a chance, kindly join to my workshop to get a knowledge. Okay?
Okay.
This is Sunday. We are planning for a workshop. Okay? And one more request from my side. If you are looking for any workshops, upcoming workshops, any topic you are looking, kindly tell us your views and we'll prepare that, and will upcoming days will come with the same topic. Rather than we decide a topic, any topic you are looking, if it is feasible at our end, we can present it, we can showcase this, and always will provide our best to them. Okay? Fine. Fine, sir. Thanks everyone today. We'll meet tomorrow. Have a great day. Thank you all.